Pleasure, man. Pleasure.
All right. Co-founder, Black Coffee Company.
Yes, sir.
Brothers in Coffee.
Brothers in Coffee, man. You need to hashtag that one.
Yeah, for sure. Well, we'll tie this conversation together and they'll understand why, I think the brand and what your brother's doing represents the people. So let's get right into what inspired the launch of a coffee brand. How did you and the brothers come up with the concept? And just the origins of the bond between you and the brothers, and then the launch of the product.
Yes. So first of all, thanks again for having us. We really appreciate you allowing us to get on your platform and speak or share our story, right, our journey. So like you said, I'm co-founder of the Black Coffee Company. There's total of 5 founders: Jamin Butler, Chris Bowden, Gino Jones, and Brandon Cole. And we all went to undergrad together down in New Orleans at Xavier University, Louisiana. So that's where the majority of our friendships kind of started from there. So we graduated, remained in contact. Occasionally we would link up for parties and All-Star Weekend and weddings and things of that nature. But it wasn't until a trip in 2015 where we went to Detroit and we visited the Motown Museum, and we saw the story of the Berry Gordy, how Motown started, with the Gordy family actually pulling their resources together because they couldn't get loans together. Right. We couldn't get loans back then. And I know, but so we saw the power. Like it yielded Motown, which is right, which is crazy, right? You never even would have known that, right? But so we saw the power of that, and we was like, well, that's the blueprint that we should follow in terms of investing money together. So we took that, as an action. I was like, let's be intentional and let's make it happen, right? So we decided to meet. We met a couple of times, try to figure out the logistics and details of how this would work. We didn't know anything of starting an investment club, but we was like, hey, there's enough information out here. We could figure this out, right? And so we decided to initially just pull our money together. And that was the first time that we've ever really done something of that caliber in terms of pulling resources together. We spent a lot of time together, went on bottles, got into the club, things of that nature, but we never invested together. So we did that. That was the first time. It took a level of trust, right? Like is somebody gonna run off with the money, right? Yeah. But we knew deep down that our friendship was deeper than that. And we was doing that, we was investing, the money grew, we was really got into a nice routine. Our friendship got closer. Maybe it was because we was sharing time and money together. We started sharing more, having more financially intimate conversations, started learning more about yeah. And from there, we hear the concept or the statistic, money is like a number one stressor. And as we was having these conversations, we were like, oh, a lot of us are stressed about money. Yeah. And one of the reasons were because, the student loans, we graduated, we educated, but we still really can't feel like we could get out. And it was like, wow, this is powerful. We should create, make sure we're transparent and let people know some of the benefits of working together. And it wasn't until, so we was doing the investment thing for a while.
How far out from undergrad or from
So we graduated in 2004. Okay. So this is 10 plus years removed, and we still remain in contact, right?
So
mid-career at this point, right? So we're starting, I don't know if we have midlife crisis, so I don't know how you would categorize it, but
grown-up crisis.
Yeah, exactly. You realize,
not 20 anymore.
Yeah, it's hard to get out of this cycle, right? Yeah. Of this battle rhythm of life. Yeah. So let's break it up. We're investing, and then from there, as our friendship and our bond grew closer, because the money that we're physically tied together with, we was like, let's start a business. But what, right? We was throwing out ideas, but it wasn't until a few of us was all on the call one morning drinking coffee. It was like, that's it, right? I mean, that wasn't it, it definitely takes some convincing, right? Especially for the ones that didn't drink coffee, right? It's like, coffee, why would we sell coffee? Right. Do you know anybody that drinks coffee besides that, the big brands, right?
Talk about the branding, and then I'm gonna get into the actual product. But talk about the branding You got the shirts. Show them the shirt.
Yeah,
You
man.
got the shirt.
Yeah, but first, black coffee, you know.
I'm wearing a hat.
Yes, sir.
So there's a lot of branding, and even I checked out the social medias, and there's got the woke cups. It's like a lot of cool branding. Talk about the branding and talk about what is behind. I guess there's a product and then there's a message.
There's a message there.
That's what I'm getting
Yep.
from, and that's what attracted me to the brand itself. So I want to talk first about the message and the branding of the message, and then we can talk about the product.
Yeah, so in terms of the brand, the name Black Coffee, it's just, I don't know, we can't even really trace back to where the idea came from. It was just, hey, that's it. I mean, it seemed at the time everybody wasn't agreed to the name, or like really felt the name was the name, right? But it was us, right? We're African American guys, black male, and then the message was really like, why coffee, right? Like, why coffee? Like, we could come up with these long lists of real reasons, or like, it's the number 2 commodity, that. But we felt that since we all had a passion for the community, and nothing speaks of like the community like coffee. Coffee is symbolic for like community. Anytime you see coffee, it's usually in a community type setting, a meeting. People have, especially in Africa, they use it with groups, right? And so for us, we felt like, let's use coffee. Coffee is the vehicle that we're going to use to kind of share our ideas and thoughts to the world. Right. So it's, the coffee is great, organic, whole beans, fair trade, directly from the farms. But at the same time, there is a message behind it. We felt that was the best way to speak to the community. It wasn't just going to have the best coffee bean. Right. We wanted to tie it to a mission. Something that when people drink, they felt empowered. Like, this means something. It's not just some good coffee or organic coffee. And so with every, we say we're trying to empower the community one sip at a time. Right. That's exactly what we're trying to do. And that's why we've been so transparent with all of our failures and just everything that you have to go through in terms of launching. Or failures, right? And in terms of like launching a company, it's not straightforward, right? If it was, maybe more people would do it. A lot of people are launching companies, right? But there is no one set way of doing it. That's what we're realizing. But we're leaving breadcrumbs. Yeah, you could take a little bit from here, a little bit from there, and you make it your own. That is the beauty of entrepreneurship. There is no one way of doing it. And that's why we felt like we couldn't really like fail unless we stopped at this.
You talked about how you guys landed on coffee, and it was pretty organic, no pun intended. But how much did you know about coffee? Well, you kind of answered that already. When did you find out how large of an industry coffee was and how little representation people of color have in it?
Yeah, so for myself, it wasn't until we had baby number 3, shout out to Elijah, or Carter, and Elijah, number 2. But I started looking for something to kind of give me the pick me up, right? And I never even noticed coffee, actually, because that was something I didn't consume. And then I noticed everybody was drinking. I was like, well, this product is everywhere, right? I'm in the airport and Starbucks line is like crazy. But I'm not even thinking in terms of business, right? I'm just 9 to 5, I'm going to meetings and everything, not even conscious of all this stuff going around. And then I had some, and I had the cold brew, right? It was like really good. I was like, oh, this is not bad. And then I started researching it. Coworker and I, he was like big into coffee. I was like, oh, this coffee is kind of good. And it's like he started going off like really knowledgeable about it. And I was like, oh, let me start researching it. And I just caught myself one night in this rabbit hole of find out more and more about the coffee industry. And I was like, wow, this is amazing. Like, in terms of the process it takes from the seed to the cup. And I was like, man, I'm really like in awe of this product, right? And then from there, I started noticing like really everybody's drinking this thing. I was like, I think we could maybe launch a business. But again, I knew very little in terms of, besides the little research I was doing, right? I didn't know how to get into the coffee game, right? So it's one thing like to read it, but like how do you enter it, right? Especially being a minority in this coffee field. But we met up with I was at a coffee symposium with my coworker, had no real intentions. We had the concept of black coffee in the back of our mind, but it wasn't real, right? At the time, it was like, we were shooting out cold emails, trying to get coffee beans, learning how to roast, and something just, that fell forward. I was vibing with this roaster. He was just talking about community and, being open, being transparent, connecting with people. I was like, I got an idea for you. Pitched the idea to him. He was like, yeah, let's partner up. We'll roast some beans for you. We see how it goes from there. He was like, whoa, wow. Like, all right, it's real. We have a roaster, right? We have coffee beans. Now, how do we sell this thing, right? Because it's coming from us. And it was like, well, let's just start social media. That's the easiest way, right? Don't even try to worry about brick and mortar and do all that. Let's just, create a social media account and go. We launched it. People, you get your feedback via likes, right? Oh, people was like, they like it. And our very first product wasn't even actually coffee. It was actually the woke mug. We was just on a call. It was like, oh, what should we put on the woke mug, right? We was talking about black coffee, financial freedom, and the whole woke movement was like big at the time, right? And it was like, woke. I mean, it's a double entendre, right? Like, it wakes you up, right? And it's like, and it's conscious, right? That's great. Let's get some sample prototypes of the woke mug. People was loving it. It was like, all right. So we was moving woke mugs before you even sold coffee, like for 3 months, right? It was like, all right. And it was like, after 3 months or so, we was able to launch. We got the product. We figured out everything. Found the right balance, the type of blends or the coffee beans that we want to sell that we thought would be really good. And then we started selling coffee, and people were supportive. And as we started to interact with our customers and our users, we was like, oh, people do drink coffee. I'm in a grocery store now looking at people. It's like, do people really buy coffee beans though? Because I mean, most of the time you see people with a cup in their hand, right? And with the cup. But then I'm looking at the grocery store, like, oh, people do buy grocery, whole organic coffee beans. Like, okay, there is a market, and and we felt that we can educate the consumer as well, right? Some of the benefits, some of the health benefits, some of the reasons why you should buy the organic whole beans in terms of the freshness and the flavor. So we'll host like tastings, just so they can at least taste the different flavor profiles and really appreciate the coffee bean itself, and not necessarily just drown it down with the sweetener, the cream. And that's why we kind of named it black coffee. It's just no fillers, just raw, organic, pure. So that was all in the name.
I mean, let me speak to something real quick about how important the steps that you guys have taken are, like how important it is, rather. So many industries that exist that black, brown, people from a certain environment are locked out of due to lack of information, due to lack of knowledge. We consume these products. We have no stake in the industries because we just don't know about them. You guys, by taking a chance and just researching and learning and just jumping in, learning on the fly, taking your licks, whatever the case may be, you now have knowledge of an industry that you can pass on, not only to your children, but to anybody. I could say, hey, look, bro, I'm trying to get into, what can I do? And that access or lack thereof is one of the things that cripples our communities. So, from a brother to another brother, do not take for granted, how important and how major what you guys are doing is. And that's why I salute you, and that's why I wanted to profile you, just to let folks know, it can be done, man. I mean, whether it's, the extension industry, the hair, the female African American hair product industry that we support solely, but we have like this much a part of.
Yeah, in terms of like
we're not in the distribution.
we're not in.
We may have a couple of shops, but they're getting it directly off from India. They got their warehouses set up. They distribute it to the fact that you guys were able to take the opportunity to look and get in to a product that we're not involved in, which is what I mean for anyone who doesn't know, next to oil. Coffee is the second biggest commodity in the planet. So, it's just major that you guys took that step. And that also speaks to what we were talking about before of kind of the being able to take your time, having security from your education, from your career, being able to leverage that education and that career to take a chance. So for those who say, there's a lot of, negative school feedback, and college is a scam, it's for suckers. If you have a plan, you work your plan.
Yeah, you work.
You know what I mean? You guys are an example of brothers who are able to take chances because you've created a nest egg for yourself via your mind, you know what I mean? And via working hard and getting yourself career-wise into a position where you can take chances. So, a brother living check to check, getting by, might not be able to take a chance on coffee beans because if it don't work.
Yeah, I definitely understand that. I mean, I felt like that was one of the beauties of it. Like, initially we felt that, like, how are we going to do this, right? Because we are in 4 different states, the 5 of us, right? Like, how are we going to do this, right? But, we're leveraging technology, right? I mean, it's connecting us. We're able to use the video chats to have, the weekly or even multiple times a week meetings, right? And we do understand that everybody's not able to do that, right? But you gotta, it goes back to that long-term thinking, right? I don't know if you're able to save, $1,000 a month or $1 a month, right? But if you have that purpose, right, that I call it that North Star, right? If you're aiming high, you'll find a way, right, to kind of shave off a little bit of money from there.
And also, the other key thing you guys did was you didn't go out on a limb and decide you wanted to start a coffee business. You got 4 brothers with you.
Yes.
You guys pull, and then you went in.
Yes.
Because there's strength in numbers as well, and that's the second thing that our community sometimes falls short on, and that's working together. So there's a lack of information, and then there's a unwillingness to pool resources and work together, even within our own families.
Exactly.
We have a trouble. Say you can't get $100 between your family.
Exactly. Like that is real, right? I mean, one of the things I was talking to my wife in terms of just using Black Coffee as a vehicle to get into the family, right? To bring them together, was to like have these sort of quote unquote financially intimate conversations. Like what's going on here? Like you're always asking for X dollars a month, right? Like what's going on? Like can we help with the management? Like what? So, but going back to your point of, like, I think the strength was, we felt it was a disadvantage at first, but then we realized it was an advantage that we was already a team. A lot of co-founders, startups or whatever, it's just usually the 1 person or 2 people, but it's 5 of us. And we've been able to leverage the fact that it's more of us to be in different markets, to share the workload, right? Because I mean, if you have this cool idea, you need all these different things. You need social media presence. You need to hit the ground. You need to get the product. You need to mail it out. You need to do all these things, right? But if you're 1 person, it's really challenging. Right. And then, like you said, you're going to run into barriers and roadblocks, right? So you need that team behind you to keep pushing you. Like, oh man, I can't do it no more. And it's like, I got it. I'll take care of that. I'll respond to this email, right? So at first we didn't map it out like that, right? We didn't know, but these are some of the things that we discovered and we would like to share in terms of there is strength in numbers, and these are some of the benefits, right? Yes, you probably can't move as fast in terms of if you're just by yourself, because it's a single thought, right? You're like, I want to do this, I'm going to do it. But for us, we come up with ideas, we share it with the team, we all decide to do it, right? So that takes time. That's just any like democracy per se, right? So there is a lot of beauty in just working together, but we know it is a challenge, especially with money, right? We'll spend time together. Hey, let's go hoop, let's go to the club, whatever. We spend time together all the time. But like when it comes into putting money together, it's something that we are hesitant about because I think it's just trust, and we view it as a really precious like commodity, right? Like resource, right? Because we don't have much of it. We would rather spend our time with you than to give up $1, right? But if you start to look at how money works in the sense that you put your money where you think you'll get a better rate of return.
Right.
And we felt that by putting our money together, I mean, it started with the investment club so we could buy more shares per transaction, right? So we saw that power. But then it was like, can we launch a business? And we've seen that benefit as well because, I mean, I think, I try to look for problems within entrepreneurship in terms of people that's starting this, and I feel like one of the most common thing is that they don't have to start capital, right? And for us, like if I was to tell somebody, give somebody some advice, I would say just, set $50 aside, right? And then do what you can do with that $50 a month towards your business. Then keep doing it, right? Keep doing it. I mean, that's exactly what we've been doing, right? Our fees was $50, right, for our dues, right? We was investing into a market. Now we upped it to $150. So we're still investing within the business and in the markets, but we just gradually just do it. Like, all right, this month our capital is low, right? We can't buy another banner per se, right? Or some more coffee equipment. We got to wait till next month. So it just takes that long-term like thought. It takes a while. It's not going to be overnight. I mean, you can look at any startup, Facebook, Airbnb. None of these things are overnight success. These things are like 6 or 7 years in the making. Now we're seeing it, right? And it's common. And I felt one of the good things or like the empowering things of entrepreneurship for me during this experience is like I'm no longer mentally like have barriers. I don't want to say cliche, but like fearless. Since we failed so much, it's like it's not much to really look.
You realize
it's not that bad. It's not that bad, right?
Yeah.
So and I'm just looking back. We've been blessed within our lifetime to kind of see the tech movement, right? In terms of things now being normalized as wasn't normalized. For example, Uber. I mean, we always jumped in the car with strangers and taxis, but I mean, now it's just crazy, right? Everybody's jumping in the car with strangers. And even Airbnb, that's crazy, right? I mean, you just living in other people's houses, right? That was not normalized, but now with technology, these things are. So I'm like, we can change people's behavior. We can have an impact in the city. I think it's doable. We just got to put our time and resources into that problem per se. Like if we could find clever ways, whether to do classes or do demonstrations or experiments type of thing, to teach them those principles about finances and understand compound interest, understand investing, let them know about the different ways that money could work for you, right? Trying to get that knowledge out into the community, not just putting a YouTube video, because I feel like the information is there, but it's our job to find clever ways to really speak to them, right? And I think we have that within our
important for our community, especially our young folks, to see us present. And
exactly.
Let us know that we're willing to
we're here, right? Let them be comfortable to ask these questions, right? I mean, I think there's a natural, curiosity, but sometimes when other people that's not representative of them come and speak to them, it's just this sort of barrier, right, in terms of asking questions, but it's that level of comfort. So within the community, we're big on, mental, I mean, we're kind of big on just wellness, right? And so we partnered up with a few other organizations, Math for Success, that goes back down to the financial literacy, understanding math really well, understand the principles of math, and then Humanity 360, they're all about promoting mental health. And those two young ladies are doing a 50-state, tour. Every month they go to a new state and doing a Joy Jam, they call it, where they invite the community out to go and learn about different resources to improve your mental health.
Word.
And then in terms of the business aspect, I mean, the sky is the limit, right? I mean, there's so much we would like to do. Like Lipsy said, you know, we want to do the vertical integration.
Okay.
So we're not just looking. Naturally, when people see Black Coffee, like, is it a brick and mortar? I think that's part of the vision, but it's not like the North Star that we're trying to get. We think that is on the path, but we would like to learn more about the supply chain, working directly with the farmers per se, in terms of trying to get, you know, their product into the U.S. or wherever, right? Not even just the U.S., right? Thinking globally, right? Can we move something that's in Brazil, Jamaica to Africa, right? This is not just a one way into the U.S. type of market. But for us, it's really about the community. That's, I think, one of our primary things. Then our business goals, we feel like it'll naturally evolve as we get the community more involved. But for the community, in terms of the business goals, one of the things that we've talked about as a team is just how can we have that built-in equity, right, into our community, right? We felt that if there was equity, they'll next will become more compassion for it, right? And then from there, they'll be able to reinvest and build, right? And be more self-sustaining. So, you know, we've been just tossing out ideas, like how can we reach the people to get that equity? Like, what would that look like, right? So right now we're exploring models. We're trying to see how can we get the community more vested in it so that it could thrive and be more self-sustaining. So.
Okay. Well, tell me, when I say ownership, what would you tell your 3 children when they get to that age? What would you tell them about ownership and the importance of ownership and why Dad owns his own business?
Yeah, so for me, I'm starting to see it already, right? I don't think they understand that as a business per se, but they know coffee, right? It's funny, my 3-year-old will go to Trader Joe's or whatever, and he'll see the free coffee. He's like, "Oh, this coffee, Daddy, it's coffee." Like he's because he's around it a lot, right? And I think, I mean, it's kind of hard to say, but I mean, I know that's the reason why we decided to do it, because the 5 of us, you know, we're starting to have families, and we're starting to have a legacy type to build, right? And none of this was ever about us, right? Because we could have went the 9-to-5 route and been comfortable, right? But we would like to expose our kids to something outside of just the 9-to-5 route, you know, because, you know, like you said, we was taught to go to school, that single focus, right? But we're realizing now you gotta diversify, right? You gotta know that not everything may not work out, so you have to be flexible, agile. You gotta be able to pivot if necessary. If, like, you know, you at this job and things are not working out right? Because somebody's at the top that's really physically holding you down, right? You can't really do nothing. So that's why it's important to own it. There's a lot, I mean, I felt like ownership gives you that creative outlet. You know, like with the corporate structure, yeah, you have some autonomy. You could do some things, but you still, yeah, right? But you're still in that box, right? But with ownership, like say, for example, we want to do like a 180-degree pivot with Black Coffee. We can do that, right? But with the 9-to-5 corporate America, you may not be able to do that, right? And I think this just gives you that flexibility that's needed in life, especially with, you know, the student loan crisis, you know, the removal of the pensions, right? There's not much of an incentive to stay at your 9-to-5, right? Because they're not gonna, it's up to you to save for retirement now with the 401k. Right. So I think it's a natural movement. Like, there is no real reason to be loyal to your company. You know, they took away the pension, right? There's no incentive per se. Right. So that's why we've seen a lot of movement. We've seen a lot of people with the side hustles. We see it now. Like, and I think it is important. I mean, one of the lessons I would like to give my kids and anybody that's listening is just, you know, be adaptive. The system is going to change. That's run by the people. Right. And you got the anti-people in there as well, right? That system is going to move, right? Nothing is constant. Mindsets, behavior is going to change, but you got to understand that it will change, and then that will allow you the ability to change with the system.
Right.
Understand it is a system, exploit it, not in a good way, but I mean understand it
Absolutely.
to make it work for you, right?
Right.
So
Right. That's it, man, brother. I
all right.
appreciate the time.
Yeah.
I appreciate you representing the people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Good conversation.
Any, I mean, we'll put all your thing. Any words or any, final statements you want to make? If you want to give out your socials and all
Yeah.
that, I mean, we're gonna put the socials.
Yeah, but I could
anyway,
just go ahead and
just
get.
say it
Yeah, so we're on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Our handle is at BLK Coffee Co. BLKCOFFEECO. And then our website, www.theblackcoffeecompany.com. Please support. It's not just about us, it's about the community. I know we redirect proceeds from all of our actual profits to the community. We've given out scholarships, support scholarships. Like I said, the Humanity 360, we're there, we're partnered up with them. So we got some of their t-shirts on the site. 100% of proceeds go to them and their mission out there traveling in the United States. But yeah, thank you for the time. Thanks for having us. We really appreciate it. And yeah.